Okay? Always make sure your hat's on forward. How's everybody doing today? Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. It's a pleasure to have you here. What amazing weather we're having. I'm feeling honored. How are you all doing temperature-wise? Pretty good? Excellent. Let's too hot. I can't help you, sir. You go back to Hawaii now. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome you to the Mount St. Helens Visitor Center. My name is Alysa Adams, and I'll be your park ranger for the next 20 minutes or so. If you have any questions during my program, I ask that you hold them to the very end. That way I can give you my undivided attention and come up with the best answer possible. If at any point during the program you need to leave or excuse yourself, please feel free to do so. I will point you out as you're walking by so everybody sees you go. I'm kidding. I won't do that. If you have to use the bathroom or get a drink of water, both of those are back up by the visitor center. And I ask, if you have any questions during the program, you save them till the very end. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. You are all here today at the Mount St. Helens Visitor Center. And though you're all strangers, you're brought together by one universal cause. And I bet it's because you had the same goal. And your goal was to see Mount St. Helens. Has anybody achieved their goal today? Well, that's impossible. I don't know how you managed that.
I just flew in from Hawaii. I saw it from the air.
Perfect. I'm glad. Well, for those of you that haven't achieved your goal yet today, I'm about to make your dreams happen. Because right behind me, 30 miles as the crow flies, is the north flank of Mount St. Helens. So go ahead and take a look behind me. That's Mount St. Helens. Ooh. Now guess what, folks? I live here in the Pacific Northwest, and what that means is most of the time, I don't get a chance to see Mount St. Helens. It's cloudy, it's gray, it's foggy. So what I do on days like that, I flip it and find the solution. I take folks on a time-traveling journey. Have any of you ever time-traveled before? Now, raise the hands. I'd feel a lot better if some of you had. Okay, good. I'm not alone. Okay. Today, we're going to time travel 40 years into the past to experience Mount St. Helens when it had all its parts. Because we're fortunate enough to see it today. However, it used to look pretty different. In order to time travel, there's a few crucial steps. Can everybody please stand up if you're able? Step number 1, you gotta put on your time traveling hat. So put it on, okay? Tie it up really good. It cannot wobble, that is crucial. Next step, I'm gonna lasso everybody to my belt. Okay. Oh, big crowd today. Can you feel it over there? On this side over here? Okay, very good, okay. On the count of 3, we're gonna jump. We're gonna go about 40 years into the past to the 1970s to go check out Mount St. Helens back then. Disclaimer. We're jumping into the past. I lost a kid last week. He jumped that way. Never found him again. Okay? On the count of 3, are we ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, shake it off. Shake it off. Take a seat for me. Take a seat. Oh, it's a big jump for first-timers. Imagine, if you will, everything around you has changed. No more building, no more benches, no more park ranger. Instead, you would be in a beautiful, old-growth forest campground. There would be trees all around you, towering tall up to the sky, swaying in the breeze. There would be bluebird sky day with little birds flying by. There would be a creek meandering off to your right. And off in the distance, this is what you'd see. Mount St. Helens. Picturesque, postcard-worthy, practically symmetrical. Because back in its day, it had all of its parts. Way to go, mountain. It had a nice set of glaciers. It had a top. And a big, bountiful forest. Life was pretty swell back then, because the Gifford Pinchot National Forest was a recreational paradise. People came from near and far to experience all that they could in the shadow of an active volcano. But back then, did they know how active it really was? No. They did not come to say, look, a volcano. They came to have a good time. There was hiking, backpacking, wildlife watching. There was climbing. People climbed the mountain to the very tippy top. Can you do that anymore today? It's a little challenging. The top was relocated elsewhere. Right? But beyond the forest, beyond the mountain, something else drew people in. 4 miles from the base of it was a big body of water. And we call that Spirit Lake. And Spirit Lake was a hip, happening place to be. There was swimming and sailing and fishing, canoeing and kayaking. There was sailing. There was hidden waterfalls that plunged deep, deep down into the cold, frigid water. Who knows what log rolling is? Log rolling? Yeah, that was a thing back then. Hop up on a log, try not to fall off. Easily entertained, I tell you. Now back then, regardless of your age, young or old, there was something for everybody because you could make a weekend out of your trip. Tucked between the shoreline and the forest was places to stay. Resorts, lodges, cabins, summer camps for the kids. If you were a kid back then, you would have gone to the YMCA summer camp. They told kids, this is a place of 1,000 memories. No pressure, but that's a lot of memories for one kid in one summer. Who thinks that would have been fun? Put your hand up. I so would have been there. Little Girl Scout right here, canoeing across that lake. Well, this is a glimpse into what life used to look like. This is a snapshot of our past. Does it look this way any longer? Does the mountain look this way? Well, what big event changed this landscape? What happened at Mount St. Helens? Bigfoot? Yeah, I knew it. I hear you loud and clear. Bigfoot happened. Really upset one day. He's like, nobody believes in me. He came, he knocked off the top of the mountain, knocked over the trees. My job here is done. You'll never see me again. Right? So, Southwest Washington loves Bigfoot. But is that what happened? No way. What happened to Mount St. Helens? Everybody please shout it out.
Erupted.
It erupted! Now, did it erupt back in the 1970s where we're hanging out? Nope. It erupted in 1980. We're going to time travel a couple years into the future to go check out Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. Everybody up for me? Instead of a full-blown jump, we're going to do a shimmy. You know what a shimmy is? One of these little hip actions? Okay? On the count of 3, we're going to shimmy a couple years to 1980. And remember, folks, we're going in that direction. Okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, shimmy. Very nice. Take a seat for me. All right, folks. I would like to formally welcome you to Mount St. Helens in 1980. Nothing has changed. Spirit Lake, still a lake. Mount St. Helens still has a top. But all of a sudden, in March of 1980, Mount St. Helens did something to remind us. It's not just a mountain, it's a volcano. Because all of a sudden, a hiccup. Geologically speaking, we call that an earthquake. And that earthquake registered at over a 4 on the Richter scale. We as humans feel anything above a 2. Not only did we feel that, folks around us felt that. They realized right away something was going on in Southwest Washington. They soon realized, it's our little volcano, Mount St. Helens. Well, that earthquake was the first of many more to come, because for the weeks following we had so many earthquakes, we couldn't keep track of them. Boom, 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 one after the other, so many earthquakes, you can't even tell them apart. Scientists called that a seismic swarm. What else comes in swarms?
Bees.
Do you run towards them and count them all? No. You beeline the other way. That's what it was like at Mount St. Helens. The evacuation had begun. In fact, they closed the mountain from the tree line up. They said, don't even come out here, don't bother, it's dangerous, go elsewhere. Well, those earthquakes were only part of the story, because simultaneously with something else happening called harmonic tremors. Constant ground vibrations and constant ground movement. That's because of the gas-rich magma, carbon dioxide, water vapor, and smelly sulfur gases underneath the surface. That let us know something was going on. It was only a matter of time. With a group this size, I say we go ahead and reenact what happened. If you're able, please stand up for me. We're going to split the group in half, but stay where you are. We're going to act out what happened through March and April and May of 1980. If you're on this side over here, today's your lucky day, you're going to be my earthquakes. And if you didn't know, earthquakes look like this. Okay? I'd like a demonstration on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, begin. Oh, that's very nice. Okay, pause. Conserve your energy. I'm going to make you do that again. Okay. This side over here, I will admit, your job is more challenging. You're going to be my harmonic tremors. You have to use your voice and your whole body. They look and sound like this. Okay. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, begin. And pause. That was really well done. Okay. Now, folks, to be realistic about what really happened, we have to do it all at once. Earthquakes, you feeling good? Tremors, you got it going on? Okay. On the count of 3, everybody will unite. 1, 2, 3, begin. And pause. And a round of applause. Very nicely done. Thank you so much. Go ahead and take a seat for me. I bet you didn't know that was going to happen. So as you just experienced, Mount St. Helens was throwing a bit of a dance party, and everybody was invited. But one day, the mountain got a little bit carried away. A little too much movement, a little too much groovement. as you can see. Because all of a sudden, kind of erupted. Oops. Don't worry. Little one, steam and ash, called a Phreatic Eruption. The steam and ash was billowing and growing inside the mountain to the point where it popped and ripped open a crater the size of a football field, 250 feet across, inside this pre-existing crater. It was like the mouth of a monster ripping open. Can you guys go ahead and make a monster mouth for me? Like this? Okay? And when I open my monster mouth, make the biggest roar you can. Are you ready? And go. Very nice. It ripped open the mountain, exposing the insides. From that point onwards, the mountain looked pretty different. It was called a two-tone volcano. 2 tones of color. White from the snow, gray and black from the ash and the rocks coming out. Well, at this point, there's been a lot going on. We've had earthquakes and tremors and ash and gas and steam and actual eruptions. And the mountain's like, yeah, that's fine. That's great. Earthquakes were yesterday. Tremors, yeah. Got something else up my sleeve, a magic trick. Okay? I'm going to change shape. Scientists call it deformation. A change in the shape of the mountain. This mountain changed shape so much, it grew itself an umbrella. Oh, wait. Look at this thing right here. It grew itself this. Scientists call this rock bubble the bulge. Can you say that with me? The bulge. Now, to be really technical, you have to say it in the deepest voice you can. The bulge. Okay, very good. Okay? So, this bulge, by the way, is not supposed to be here. Here's what's going on. If you had a pair of x-ray goggles, go ahead and put them on. Pew, 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 pew. Okay. Here you are looking inside the mountain. Here's what's going on. You have a main magma chamber of ooey gooey red bubbly magma, and a side chamber of ooey gooey red bubbly magma. Well, this one's working properly, which is why the steam and ash is coming out of it. But the side chamber is not working so well. That liquid rock was pushing so much so against the solid rock, it cracked, fractured, and expanded outwards, pushing the mountain 5 feet a day. Is anyone in our audience about 5 feet tall? Will you stand up for us? And what's your name? Everybody look at Amanda. Oh, there you go. Okay, you ready? Amanda's about 5 feet tall, which means Mount St. Helens grew 1 Amanda every day. Amanda caused chaos, panic, and fear throughout the Mount St. Helens community. Because Amanda was unpredictable, people didn't know what Amanda the Bulge was going to do. Now, Amanda, a student of this training, I can tell you're very well loved. But I gotta be honest, as a Bulge, you are terrifying. Round of applause for Amanda. Thank you so much. So as you just saw, the height of Amanda, 5 feet tall, is how much the mountain grew every single day for weeks on end. Does that seem normal to you? I don't think mountains are supposed to be doing that. So at this point, we've had earthquakes and tremors and ash and gas and steam and eruptions and Amanda's bulging. Sorry, that was inappropriate. I don't normally do that. Well, what do you think people were thinking? All this activity, what do you think they were thinking? Any thoughts?
Uh-oh.
Terrified. Uh-oh. Okay. Universally, people were wondering, what's going on? This is bad. This is a buildup to an eruption. As all those people were evacuating, scientists were swarming in, measuring the mountain, taking calculations, monitoring it, figuring out what's going on. All of their equipment, all of their theories came to one conclusion. The mountain's going to blow. It's simply a matter of time. But also the mountain was like, "Arr!" Break, pause, stop. It was known as a period of quiescence. Silence and quiet. And things didn't stop, they simmered, went down real low. Now what do you think people thought?
No problem.
No problem, no big deal. It was gonna blow, it's not, whatever. Right? People were kind of split in 2 different ways. Some folks were like, you know what? This is the calm before the storm, the silence before the violence. I'm packing my bags, I'm out of here. Who would have felt like that? I'm leaving and I don't care. Okay? Very good. That's called personal protection, security. You're leaving. Common sense. Other people felt the other way. They were like, you know what? Kind of funny baloney. I don't know what to believe or not. I can't really say. I'm also kind of curious. I'm wondering what's going to happen. I'm going to make a sandwich and I'm going to stay home. Would have felt like that. Because of the sandwich. All about the sandwich. okay? You're not all about self-preservation. You're about sandwiches, okay? So for 2 weeks, people waited. For 2 weeks, people wondered. For 2 weeks, they thought to themselves, what am I going to do? After 2 long weeks, Mount St. Helens answered their questions in a very dramatic and memorable way, because what did it do? It erupted. On the morning of May 18th, 8:32 a.m., a huge earthquake shook the mountain. Everybody shake. It shook the mountain. And as it shook the mountain, the entire bulge began to drop. Tremendous power, pressure, and fury, it ripped down the mountain as the largest landslide in recorded history, 180 miles an hour. It slammed into a ridgeline, climbed up and over it, and kerplunk, dumped all of its contents into Spirit Lake. I don't know if you remember this part, but Spirit Lake was kind of busy, being all majestic and full of water. It wasn't aware of the mountain's plans to rearrange. So here comes the mountain, out goes the lake, displaced of all its water. The lake was filled 200 feet with Mount St. Helens. Tree trunks, rock, ice, ash, and chunks of volcanic material filled the entire lake and then kept on going. It went 5 miles to the north and 15 miles to the west. That 15-mile marker is a half an hour up the road from us, which means back in 1980, you could stand right here and you'd be okay. Should you have done that? No, you shouldn't have. But you could have, and you'd be okay. After the landslide, something else happened called a pyroclastic flow. Superheated, 1600 degree Fahrenheit stone wind. I'm literally talking about flying rocks. This one right here, it's kind of heavy. It's called a lava block or lava bomb. What do bombs do? This was no exception. It flew out of the mountain, knocked over the trees, thank you, and crash landed all across the ground, punching, pounding, and hammering the soil, leaving behind a field of lava rocks. Now his tiny cousin, Mr. Pumice, little tiny pumice rock, he went flying miles through the sky. He has a special quality that allows that to happen. And he flew. He made that noise. I'm sure of it. Sorry about the spit. He crash landed everywhere. Is this light or heavy?
Light.
Pretty light. Good answer. Light or heavy? Super light, you mean. See the wrong answer, you're not welcome back. Light or heavy? Good answer, yeah. This rock is so light, in fact, not only did it fly for miles and smash into the ground, this, when it landed on water, did something incredible. It floated. It floated on water, and I am going to prove it to you because I'm science-minded. You don't just have to believe me, I'm going to show you. Remember how we're imagining? Imagine some more. This is Spirit Lake, the tiniest lake you've ever seen. Okay, here comes the mountain, it's erupting. Ah! Take a look at that. It's floating on water. Gas bubbles trapped inside allow it to be airless and buoyant. Airless, not a word, aerated. Just go with it, okay? So imagine thousands upon thousands of those rocks, smashing everything, leaving behind just a field of gray. I don't know if you know this part, but volcanoes are hot. Who knew that? Okay, good. Yeah, common knowledge. Put your hand up. Woo, common knowledge. Volcanoes are so hot, they melt cold things. And this mountain had a lot of cold things on the surface. It had glaciers, snow, and ice. Well, when heated, that will flood and melt. And it flooded into a flash flood. Down the mountain it went. And mixed with a landslide into a churning, turning vortex of mud. And that mud took the path of least resistance. From the mountain, down the North and South Fork River, into the Cowlitz River, into the mighty Columbia River, and out to the Pacific Ocean. By the time it hit the Columbia River, 50 miles from our volcano, it rose 20 feet. That's 4 Amandas. Oh. This mud flow was like a whirling, swirling vortex of chocolate milk gone horribly wrong. But guess what? It was bubbling, boiling, steaming, and scorching hot. We'll say it was hot cocoa. Instead of marshmallows on top, houses, cars, and bridges floating down the river, jamming it up downstream. Now this volcanic mud flow has a special name. We call it a lahar. Can you say that with me? Lahar. That was good. Good for you. But remember this till tomorrow? You have to talk like a pirate. Who does that in their spare time? I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay, good. This is how you say it. Lahar, matey. Okay? On the count of 3, your best swashbuckling pirate voice. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was really good. Powerful pirate. Guadalajara went so far, it traveled to the ocean. Now, what if I told you that eruption was over in half an hour? Just about. Started at 8:32 a.m. By 9 o'clock, the actual eruption was done. The aftermath, of course, continued. But what does the aftermath include? How about the ash? The ash traveled up 15 miles into the sky, hit the lower atmosphere, flew east, and dropped down onto eastern Washington. It kept on going around the world for 2 whole weeks, and then we ended up getting ash again. This was an unforeseen consequence that literally encircled our globe. Now back then, some goofball made this bumper sticker that said, "Don't come to Washington, Washington will come to you." And it did, in the form of ash that sprinkled down from the sky in a very large-scale phenomenon. But folks, what goes up eventually comes back down again. And when the ash settled, people came back to the area to see what was left of Mount St. Helens. Please remember that when they left, this is what they left behind. This was their volcano, their beautiful landscape, and their memories and photo albums. This was their mountain. When they came back, this is what was waiting for them. A barren moonscape, practically desolate, as if nothing could have survived. A reminder of what had just happened, a scar across this land, the power of a natural disaster. But let me ask you this. Do we look like this any longer? No. Do we look like this? No. We're somewhere in between. 39 years has come and gone and brought with it tremendous recovery. I want you to go ahead and look around us here today. Look up high and look down low. What color do you see most vibrantly? Green. And what does green represent? Life. You're in volcano country, surrounded by life. Take a big breath for me. Don't sniff your neighbor, just the air. What is not in your lungs right now? Ash. There's clean air to breathe. And if you look behind me, past the trees, that's a lake made by Mount St. Helens. You are here in volcano country, surrounded by a forest. This is a living legacy, a hope for the future, a reminder that Mount St. Helens is capable of creating new life. One day, generations from now, when your family comes to visit, like probably in a hovercraft, and they're hovering along, they look out their window, they're not going to see this unless, of course, something else happens. They're going to see this, a brand new forest and a brand new mountain top. Geologically speaking, it's just going to take a little bit of time. Can I have a round of applause for my audience?